pedo David could very well beat these charges and walk free. And I've listened to a lot of experts speak on this situation since he's got arrested, and none of these experts is confident that these charges will stick or that they even have enough to charge him. Not because he's innocent. We all know he's guilty, but essentially, the DA and LAPD, man, dropped the ball.
Your breaking news right here at...
Who's surprised that the police don't know how to do their job? I'm not. I'm not. And this looked like a weirdo.
5:30, you might recognize this picture. That's singer David. The LAPD just announced that they have arrested...
Like, this nigga think he Miguel. This is Miguel. I used to call him Miguel, but he think he Miguel. This is Miguel right here.
Him for the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez.
David's lawyer immediately gave a statement, and his statement kind of gives you some insight into what their defense of David is going to be. The lawyer says, let us be clear, the actual evidence in this case would show that David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he was not the cause of her death. Now, they didn't say
at all. Hold on, bro.
David has no idea what's going on. David has no idea how she died. They're saying he was not the cause of her death. I think we know where they're going in terms of the defense. They're going to take advantage of essentially David having like a year head start to hide this. They would also continue and say there has been no indictment returned by any grand jury in this case and no criminal complaint filed. David has only been detained under suspicion. We will vigorously defend David's innocence. David's arrest yesterday makes no sense to everybody. Everybody is confused. Every expert is confused as to what's going on. And they fear that LAPD may have made a mistake. And the reason why they're so confused is because a grand jury didn't indict David. The prosecutor has been in grand juries for the last couple months. Now, grand juries can only be seated for, I believe, 30 days, so they had to keep getting like different grand juries. But for the most part, yeah, like they've been giving testimony to a grand jury, feeding the grand jury evidence, trying to get an indictment of David on these murder charges, and a grand jury has failed to return any indictments whatsoever. A grand jury has failed, to make a ruling on whether or not that's enough to indict David on murder. So because if y'all been in front of a grand jury for months and still hasn't secured an indictment yet, then why was he arrested yesterday? And how confident are you guys if you guys get a DA indictment that would be enough to convict this man? Now, Harvey Levin, who's a lawyer who understands these things much more than a lot of us, he broke it down. And from his perspective, he's also very concerned on the stability of this case and how strong it is. And even he thinks, the prosecutors or LAPD may have made a very big mistake and may have striked a little too early based on the circumstances. Now, everybody, though, when we look at the video of David being arrested yesterday, everybody is saying this is a clout chasing move, right? You guys were in contact with his lawyers. You guys knew exactly where he was, but yet y'all came with the SWAT team and made that much ruckus.
I think there is a problem in the prosecution's case against David the singer. Well, let me explain. The grand jury has been hearing this case for 5 months, since November. Beth Silverman, the DA, has been presenting witness after witness after witness to this grand jury to get a grand jury indictment. We know that there has been a dogfight between the DA's office and the medical examiner over cause of death that we are told and have been told for a long time after Celeste Rivas's body was found that they were having a very difficult time establishing cause of death. And that is an issue here. But then the question, if Beth Silverman was before that grand jury for 5 months with the end goal of getting an indictment for murder, why did the police arrest David yesterday and then say they're going to present the case to the DA on Monday so that the DA can determine whether to file formal charges or not. That makes absolutely no sense. Because
right, that's like ass backwards. You gonna file the charges after you arrest him? You can't search the house before you get the warrant. You feel me?
it was the grand jury that was supposed to indict here, and not the DA just charging him. If the DA wanted to charge, what was the point of a grand jury?
We weren't present at the grand jury testimony, so we don't know what type of evidence they have on David. What I can say confidently, if they weren't able to secure an indictment, the grand jury indicts everybody. Like, I'll be real. Yo, the grand jury indicts everybody, bruh. All right, yo, you could bring one of the weakest cases to a grand jury. The grand jury is coming back with an indictment, homie. All right, so if they couldn't even meet like the grand jury standards to get an indictment on David, that means there's a lot of holes in this case and a lot of flaws. And one of the biggest flaws is, how can you say he murdered her if the medical examiner is unable to determine the cause of death? That's one of the biggest holes in this case. Now, we know David is a murderous, bloodthirsty pedo POS. I think David is guilty. I think David should spend the rest of his life in prison. I think
Facts. We all agree with that. Say it in the comments. Put him in prison. Put David in jail. He needs prison. He needs jail. He needs, and not rehabilitation. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Now, let me not say what I'm saying allegedly, but allegedly, yeah, it needs to be a lot worse than that.
David should die in jail because David did this. David murdered that girl, and we look at the circumstantial evidence, right? You know, her body is in his Tesla, parked outside of his home. He's buying burn cages. He's paying people off, right? He has like cleaning material, right? The circumstantial evidence is there. But if you're going to bring this man to a court of law where a jury of his peers got to convict him, you got to at least be on the same page with your medical examiner for the cause of death. If you're not on the same page with the medical examiner, then it's kind of like, how do you say he murdered her when y'all can't even figure out how she got murdered? Now, there's going to be testimonies, but how credible would those testimonies be? If those people themselves knew about this for months on end and they said nothing, and they were accessories after the fact, how credible would their testimony be if they're testifying so they don't get arrested, so they don't get cooked, so they don't go to jail too? Now, I'm hoping David gets found guilty. I'm hoping they cook David. But when you look at the circumstances, everybody is saying, I just don't see this, man. Because what do you mean the police is going to present the case to the DA? The DA has been the one trying to get the indictment from the grand jury. Like, it doesn't make sense whatsoever. The DA has had this case for months. So what do you mean we're going to present a case to the DA on Monday? Ain't the DA has been the one trying to get an indictment for the... It just doesn't make sense. But now listen, I knew it was cooked when the literal lead investigator for this case, he did an interview with Law and Crime, and even he is like, man, I'm not hopeful.
So what happened at the grand jury so that they either didn't indict him, that she never asked the grand jury to actually indict, or did the grand jury issue a no bill, which means they rejected the case? I don't think they would have rejected the case outright, although I don't know. But the only other option is that Beth Silverman never asked for a formal indictment after presenting evidence for 5 months before the grand jury. So and the police say, we're going to present the case to the DA. The DA's had the case for 5 months. What do you mean present the case? That makes no sense when you listen to what the police are saying.
You guys are about to be really mind-blowing. Check this level of incompetency out, okay? So apparently, LAPD has been really upset at LA County DA for not bringing murder charges fast enough against David. So they went to arrest David without the permission of the LA County DA. And they did so to hopefully pressure the DA to bring charges right away. So David might very well walk on Monday if the DA say we don't have enough right now to move forward with this murder charge. LAPD just did this for theatrics in the cloud.
They're clout chasing, bro? What? I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I ain't gonna lie, bro. They're aura farming right now. They arrested David for. I ain't gonna lie. We all love it though. Can y'all keep him a little longer though? Like, can y'all send him? What's that state? Is it Georgia? Yeah, they got the worst jail. Can we send him to that jail where nobody gets prosecuted for like 5 years and they stay there? He need to stay at one of them jails and never get prosecuted for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years. He need to just sit in jail.
Chase. This is absurd. We've never seen anything like this before in the history of Earth.
Just recently, the medical examiner has apparently revived or has come up with or has come to the conclusion to a medical certainty that it's a homicide. Guess what happened then? Have you heard what happened then? LAPD then tried to get the DA's office to then file. DA's office apparently wouldn't file. So LAPD said, oh, okay, you're not going to file. We're going to go arrest David. We're going to arrest him on a Thursday afternoon.
You got to stop for a second. Back this up. Are you telling me that you're hearing that the DA was not ready to file charges and the LAPD said, screw you, we're going to just arrest him when the DA wasn't ready to file charges? Is that what you're saying?
There is exactly what is happening right now, which is why there is no complaint.
Are you saying because that's what I'm hearing, that the DA was not ready to file charges. The LAPD got frustrated and said, we're just going to arrest him. You got 4 days to file. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm hearing.
I don't understand that. But Mark, if they're not, if the DA is not ready to file charges and 4 days run out, then David walks free and LAPD has egg on its face.
No, LAPD is then going to point the finger at the DA's
and
office.
The DA's office is going to say, we're not ready. Are you?
Yes. And that I'm telling you, that's what's happening. There's only one other.
They're about to run us in a bunch of fucking circles, and David might not get arrested ever. And we're just going to sit here and be like, I guess so. I'm not. Put him in jail. Arrest him again. Can we move this case forward? It's clear as day. Everybody's seen it. It should be not even a discussion at this point in time. The fact that these niggas just said, you know what, bruh? It's like, y'all ever watch a gangster movie and then the younger guy's like, nah, bruh. And then John Wick. Y'all know the John Wick story? This is the John Wick story right here. The son killed the dog, but the father knows that's the dog of the Baba Yaga. The DA ain't ready for the Baba Yaga. Because clearly David has some roots with the Baba Yaga. Them Epstein boys. They clearly had some roots. Like, there's got to be something more to this. The fact that he's even a multi-million-dollar record streaming artist and a pedophile should be a very clear hint that he's allegedly connected with all of the massive pedophiles in the industries. And now this makes sense. Look at the way he dresses. Hey, I don't know, bro. Like, is that not a little sus? Bro, maybe I'm just overly masculine or something. But, bro, the way he's acting, very flamboyant, very... I've been played with before, and I did it for my clout.
Explanation that makes any sense whatsoever. And the DA may embrace this if they decide this is too hot for them to just reject. And what the DA would say is on Monday that we've now looked at it, we're now going to file charges, and they'll do a press conference, and they will do the performative arts theatrics that it took them over the weekend to finally realize that they had enough evidence.
Welcome to LA. Hey. Yo, I told y'all this from day one, and a lot of y'all was in the comment section killing like Flacco. LAPD got the best homicide division on earth. What are you talking about? You don't know nothing. What I tell y'all when it comes to LAPD, man. What I tell y'all when it comes to LAPD, man. Don't get your hopes up. I told y'all if this was anywhere else, this case would have been solved within 2 months. If this was anywhere else, man, they would have went and found a missing 14-year-old who was living with a grown man before she got murdered.
Big facts. If this is Maryland, DC, PG County, bro, you're not getting away with that, bro. We know each other. I know everybody around me, bro. You're not getting away with that shit. I'll be like, yo, I ain't seen some Johnny and Samantha kid in about a week or two. Y'all cool? Y'all watching y'all kid? Like, where your kids at? Oh my God, bro. Like, when I go out in public and I see kids walking around and parents don't be nowhere near them, I just be like, Because I probably was low-key that kid unintentionally, but as I got older, I would just walk away from my parents. I was a little grown-ass man as a child. I've always been old. But I be seeing kids that ain't that mindset. You can tell they low-key, like, they kids. Maybe I'm just bugging and that's how everybody saw me as a kid, but, like, I would have full conversations with adults as a child. These kids just be like looking at toys and yeah, they be kids, bro. They be bots, NPCs on their tablet. Don't even be looking up at you. Tablet, the iPad kids are ridiculous, bro. If you go into public and you see a kid that has headphones on and a tablet, say goodbye. I'm praying for the next 10 to 15 years of life because it's going to be very hard to socialize, to build relationships, to become an adult in a world where you only know this. And y'all are not going to see it the way I do because think about it. If you doing this while you at family dinner, you doing this while you at the park, you doing this while you at recess, you doing this while you're in class, you doing this every 5 seconds while you at home, you're never interacting, you're never building experience. That's why these kids grow up and they don't be knowing what to do. They don't have no actual real world experiences. They just be TikTok. It's like, nah. And then the parents don't raise their kids, such as Celeste. Parents not in the situation. Let their kid do whatever she wanted. Whatever she wanted. And now look, if this was Maryland, PG County, if this was even, I don't even know about other states, but I trust the police over here to at least, you know what I'm saying? They gonna show up at some point. Shit. I pray. Allegedly.
If this was anywhere else, they would have had them folks in that bit talking after day one, man. You think Neo and David French, you think they got loyalty to David? Man, as soon as the grand jury brought them in, they started singing. They said David's a piece of ish. Man, Neo left that grand jury after one day and took to Instagram and started saying David's a monster. Them folks ain't never had no loyalty to David, man. But this is what they do. Do you understand that Notorious B.I.G. died and we still don't know who did it? Well, the streets know. If they couldn't solve Biggie's murder and everybody know who murdered Biggie, what you think they about to do to Celeste and Dave? Man, all right, man. Yeah, y'all got faith. I don't at all. Not one bit. Now, the lead detective,
like I said, he's about to be a multi-million-dollar recording artist we just about to be like, oh, okay, I don't know what happened. In about 2 years, everybody gonna forget about it and move on. Y'all nasty, y'all sick, y'all need help.
For this case, he did an interview with Law and Crime, and he isn't hopeful either.
So what actually will happen by the end of the day on Monday, end of the day on Tuesday?
Well, I imagine I would not be surprised. There's going to be a couple different angles here because the DA's office is going to come under a lot of pressure right now. But that doesn't mean that they're going to make a decision out of pressure. So they'll probably use, I would imagine, most of the day on Monday. They can only hold a person so long without being charged or cutting them loose. And as far as
look at this freaky deep boy right here. Like, what are you doing, bro? Bro. Bro, like, y'all don't see the pedophile? Y'all don't see the freak? This is a freaky man right here. Look at him. His nails painted, got on multiple rings. Damn near got on lip gloss, wearing a damn do-rag. Probably don't got waves. This man looks sus, bro. This is supposed to be a straight male. Mind y'all. In an industry full of people that go through rituals. Mind y'all. Okay.
Then what the process is, it's hard to say. I think there's gonna be some gamesmanship here going on. I think that ultimately David would probably waive his right to speedy trial.
This is supposed to be a straight man. When is the last time, my guys, I know it's 90% men in here. When is the last time you sat in the mirror and took a picture like this? And sent it to your girl. And she didn't call you a weirdo. Because if that happened, you don't have a girl, bro. She would call you a weirdo. That's sus. What are we talking about? He thinks he's a baddie.
Possibly to give his attorneys more time, but if not, preliminary hearing comes up, or they can send it back to a grand jury. We don't even know if there's a grand jury seated right now, because in LA County, you can only hold criminal grand juries for 30 days. So if this grand jury process has been going on for months and months, these have been different grand juries. And
sorry to cut you off, very intelligent white guy. Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm not saying you can't take mirror pics, y'all. Y'all take mirror pics. It's a certain way you have to take a mirror pic. That's not how a man would take a mirror pic. Probably could find a good example for maybe a Duke Dennis or something of a good mirror pic that's masculine. Because that's not masculine.
so maybe now it is a grand jury that has charging power. If it was just investigated before, it's really hard to say what it looks like right now because there hasn't been any movement.
Right. Let me ask you this. He was in the Hollywood Hills possibly this whole time. And we saw authorities in tactical gear making the arrest. We weren't sure where he was. Did you have any idea that he was at this house in the Hollywood Hills?
Yeah, so I learned about 2.5 months ago that he was in West Hollywood, and it really surprised me, to be honest with you. At the very beginning, I knew he was still in LA, but I thought he had probably gone home to Texas, and especially with what was going on with his parents fighting their subpoenas, their grand jury subpoenas. I thought he had probably gone back, even though like 2.5 months ago I had learned that he was in West Hollywood. But I figured he'd left by then because I hadn't heard anything in the last few weeks. But so I was surprised he was still there. And he kept secret really well. I don't think he moved around much. I know he was receiving things under another false name, but I think he shows that he thinks his career is going to take off again one day.
But there was no indication like he was about to leave the country and like we have to immediately make an arrest before something happens. Like you saw the photos from the arrest. I've seen the reporting from it. I haven't seen anything that there was a level of violence, that he was fighting it, that they chased him. I don't know if his attorney got advance notice that this was happening, but I didn't see anything to indicate, you tell me, that he was a flight risk or anything.
No, and what I did see is that there were some U.S. Marshals there as well. They had tactical vests on, so I think that they probably knew where he was the whole time. I think they were keeping an eye on him for preventative reasons. He was free to come and go. He could even leave the country if he wanted to. But I think they were keeping an eye on him. It probably gives him a little bit a sense of power, knowing that something's not happened with a grand jury. I probably isn't feeling too bad about it.
What did you make of his lawyer's statement?
I think that it probably did catch. I don't know if they got advance notice, because it seemed like it was to say that it wasn't even charged by complaint. I think there is I think it's safe to say there's a complaint there. They said that they did send a complaint up by Monday. So I don't know. Listen, this is where high dollar attorneys really can excel, right? When it's a circumstantial type case, and they can get the high dollar expert witnesses and pick them apart. And
they said there was that he's not the cause of death. How do they know that?
Well, exactly. Well, that's the other thing. Like, there's certain things like this that the evidence will show. Well, what is do they know what that evidence is? Like, what communication have they had with the DA's office or with LAPD? Because from what we understand, he hasn't even sat for an interview with LAPD, so he doesn't even know exactly what those questions will be. Are there other people that have appeared in front of the grand jury that they've been able to debrief? Hard to say. It seems like they do have some handle on what the evidence is, though.
Were you surprised there were no other charges against him, and were you surprised that nobody else was arrested?
Yeah, I was, because there are other crimes here. Listen, we know that the mutilation of a corpse alone is now that's a felony, because it's not simply the concealment, like we've heard in the LAPD press release originally. This was mutilation, so it was a whole different thing. There is sex crimes. So I'm very, very confident. This is just my opinion from what I've seen, but I've talked to victims that there are sex crimes here. And in these cases, a lot of times you'll see kind of a bunch of charges thrown at the wall, and then they'll take them off as they get further down, after prelim and whatnot. But that's not the case here. It sounds like it's a single charge type of complaint. And it's also what we saw. It matches up with what we saw in the paperwork filed in Texas, where they talked about a single charge of murder 187, which is murder of forethought. It's a strong charge. It's the strongest charge, but why not throw them all out there in case something like this happens?
And you, right before his arrest, you went on X, you expressed your frustration with the lack of action, with the lack of movement here, and you believe that authorities haven't been consistent with the crimes that were allegedly committed here, right? Their discussion of what happened here, right?
Yeah, listen, it's been a very frustrating process. The only reason that myself and my client are still involved in this is because we want to make sure that there's justice for this young teen who he was taken advantage of and ultimately murdered. And it's been a very slow process. I understand investigations take time. However, it seemed like it was stalling out, and maybe this is proof that it was, because it does seem to me, I haven't seen the interview with their progress, but it seems to me that there is a disconnect between LAPD and the DA's office.
That's not a good sign, especially for a case that's complicated. So let's just all pray, man, that David don't get released. Let's all pray that this dude stays in prison for the rest of his life. I don't want him to get bail. I don't want him to get nothing. I want him to rot in prison. Let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think about this, man? Are y'all hopeful? Do y'all think that LAPD and the DA is going to get their stuff together and take David down? Let me know, man, if you guys are still watching, right? And if you're still watching this video and you want to watch another good video, then click on this video right here somewhere on my screen where I break down.
Wait, what did you break down?
How the Detroit gravedigger just embarrassed NBA YoungBoy and his goons.
Oh, I already reacted to that one. Go watch that reaction or go watch his video. It doesn't matter to me as long as you stay on the platform you are. I'm going to tell you that every single time. But yeah, David, you're wildin'. Police, y'all stupid. DA, can y'all please stop playing around? The grand jury, what the hell? Y'all don't think he's at least guilty enough to go to jail? Like, what? He not guilty enough to at least go to jail about this? So, in my opinion, everybody in this situation needs to go to prison. All of his friends, family, associates, everybody who was a friend, family, associate of Celeste as well. Everybody who's on those Reddit forums needs to get found. And yeah, this is a ridiculous situation. We cannot have that man walking around free, making music, making money. This is ridiculous. Let me know what y'all feel down below. And if you enjoyed this reaction, and if y'all need y'all daily dose of drama, politics, and news, this is the channel for it. And if you want to hit that subscribe button, I know it doesn't take too long for you to do it, but it means a lot to me. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you later. Y'all have a great rest.